India height problem. India oh, pizza. मेरा ही क्लियर कर देखो और बस पता नहीं हमको हेलो
Hello.
यस oh
Assalamualaikum.
अस्सलाम
Ji, should we start
start
now?
formal intro.
Okay.
Fantastic morning and enthusiastic greetings from School of Management. Hope everyone would have enjoyed and had an interesting session yesterday on how to prepare data for analysis using MS Excel hands-on experience for beginners. Today, we have a young speaker, Mr. Tahseen Ahmed Bhutto, a native of Pakistan, also a faculty at Shahid Benazir Bhutto University, Pakistan, research scholar of Donbai University of Finance and Economics, Dalian, China, will speak on application of emerging techniques available in management and social research. Mr. Tahseen Ahmed Bhutto received his master MS degree in human resource management from the Karachi Institute of Economics and Technology, a scholarship sponsored by Pakistan Higher Education Commission UGC in 2016. He currently pursuing a PhD in HRM from Donbai University of Finance and Economics, Dalian, China. Mr. Tahseen has 10 years of experience working as operation manager in Pakistan's banking sector, including Mizan Bank Limited, Bank Islami Pakistan, JS Bank, and Soneri Bank Limited. He has written three papers in the Cleaner Development Review, the International Public Leadership Review, and the one Chinese SSCI. Mr. Tahseen is fantastic at data analysis, testing methods, hypotheses, and other related tasks. His research interests concentrate mainly on green creativity and innovation, with the emphasis on how motivation, leadership, environment, and other psychological factors within an organization influence the green behavior and a creative performance of employees. Mr. Tahseen is working to maintain his rate of learning new things. He supported many MS students in data processing and model selection in various fields of management. Let me be pleased to read the requirement for participation in the smooth conduct of this session. Dear participant, make sure that your laptop, desktop, mobile phone time is incompatible with Indian Standard Time. Ensure strong internet access and stay away from all disruptions. Use microphones with headset and appropriate stationery such as notepad and pen. Please mute your audio and post your queries in the chat box. Upon successful completion of each session, the feedback link will be shared in the YouTube chat history. The participant will receive an e-certificate who finishes all the FDP modules. Your kind cooperation is very much needed. Now, may I request Mr. Tahseen Ahmed Bhutto to begin the presentation, please.
Uh, First of all, thankful to Mr. Shad and his institute for organizing this wonderful event and giving opportunity to students to learn online because during the pandemic, the schools, colleges, and universities have been closed, and it's quite hard to learn and continue the momentum of knowledge sharing and learning with each other. So again, it is also sharing, like giving us opportunity to learn from each other, to connect the people across the world. And this is what something technology has facilitated us, that we can not only learn from within the boundaries of classes, in the boundaries of the classes, but we can learn from across the world, like Pakistan, India, America, US, and across the world, France, and different countries. So today we are going to learn, let me give you some introduction, that today we are going to learn about the application of emerging techniques in management science, management and social science research. We will have an overview of the structural question modeling. Now, I have been already introduced. Let me go to the first things. Now, because everybody knows that when we are analyzing the methodologies like survey-based studies mostly, or in qualitative research, we have to analyze, use different techniques and analyze the data. Some researchers use qualitative research, which is mostly based on interviews and the contents we collect from different sources. And that is like open-ended questions. But there's another methodology, which is survey-based studies. The constructs have already some questions. We collect data from respondents, and then we analyze those scores. Surveys we have collected from the people or respondents or employees. Okay, so let me go to introduction, that what are different things, like what are the different techniques we have, we can use in survey-based studies. Now, if you have a little sound background, or if you know a little bit about it, you know better that there are different techniques to analyze the data. Previously, SPSS was widely famous and used across the world for different analysis. In fact, now there are changes and it is being updated across the world. And the experts or the old scientists who have been using SPSS, they rely on that software and they analyze SPSS using SPSS, analyze data using SPSS. However, now things have changed and new developments have taken place. What are the new developments? Before, now if you use the books, different books, there are two categories or generations of the techniques. Now, they were the first generation of the technique, and where people used to use cluster analysis, exploratory factor analysis, or regression analysis. Everybody knows about regression analysis. What is regression? It's a causality, shows the effect of one incident or one variable on another variable and something like that. The behavior of one person, how behavior of one person affects the behavior of another person. For example, when a manager is working in an organization, then how the behavior of one manager may impact the behavior of employees. A good manager may bring motivation. A good manager may praise enthusiasm, confidence, and creativity. But an abusive manager may destroy everything what the employee had. The employee, in fact, may leave the organization. So in the first generation techniques, people used to use SPSS, or normally logistic regression, or multivariate regression, or confirmatory factor analysis, or exploratory factor analysis. But before analyzing the data, we used to use different, applications of the software. For example, we have to do reliability analysis. We have to do, conversion validity and discriminant validity analysis, and then we have to do cluster analysis, exploratory factor analysis, factor loading, we often say. So we had to do a lot of things before coming to the concrete final analysis, which is the structural analysis. Now, I will tell you with the time that what is the difference between structural analysis and what is a measurement analysis. But we are just talking about, it was quite difficult task before, before the advent of the latest techniques like structural question modeling. And that is quite advanced, you know. Although in some softwares it's very complex, but you know it's advanced, so you have to learn it because most of the studies now use that study. Now I will also go and show you that why and what is percentage of the research scholars across the world are using you know, this software or this technique, structural question modeling. Now, the second generation technique involves the partial least square structural equation modeling, which is PLS-SAM, and covariance based structural equation modeling. Now we have come to the point that there is a structural equation modeling going on right now. People are using structural equation modeling. But why? What is it? And how? That are the questions we're going to learn this in this session, and we will also have hands-on experience. We will practically use this software. Like I will use PLSM. I can use MOS or SPSS, but because of the time limitation, we will try to learn using PLS. We will learn structural question modeling, how to analyze the results, and okay. So now, how many people are using structural question modeling? Almost when I open my papers, research papers, that's like in HRM or doing creative innovation, almost, I mean, in marketing, my most of the friends use structural question modeling. Before they used to use exploratory factor analysis, confirmatory factor analysis, multivariate regression, you know, a t-test for group analysis, or ANOVA, analysis of the variance, or MANOVA, different other tech, logistic regression or probit regression, you know, yeah. But now the trend is rising. Now you see that it has started right from after 1980s, and then in 2015 it has seen exponential growth. More than 500 papers are written during 2015, and something amazing is going on. And you know, if you go to Journal of Business Research, they have called for conference. They want advancement in these techniques. Now, why people are changing their direction from using, you know, from moving from the old techniques to new techniques? I guess the most important reason is that these are advanced techniques, they're robust techniques, and they're user-friendly as well, easy to handle and easy to learn, okay? So we are going to learn this technique in this session. Stay tuned, and definitely when you leave the session, you will have a lot of clarity in your mind, and you'll be pretty much happy that what you learned today is going to change a little bit, bring knowledge into your brain, and I will ensure that you got something when you left the session, okay? Okay, so we know that most of the scholars are using structural equation modeling, but the question is, why to use SAM rather than other? Some researchers say that SAM is among the most useful advanced analysis technique that have emerged in social sciences in recent decades. And it is a class of multivariate technique because it can deal multi-purposes, like different variables can be analyzed at the same time. Number one. Number two, it can analyze mediators. Number two, it can analyze moderators. Number three, it can analyze group analysis. You don't have to really work hard on those things. They are pretty much easy to handle. And simultaneously, you can also have measurement analysis, which means it can include measurement analysis. I will talk in detail, but here I'm just giving some importance that you know, measurement analysis include like reliability, validity, factor loading. So all of these things are done within a few minutes. That's quite amazing. Okay, so what are the different types of SAM? So when we are talking about SAM, there are two types of SAM actually, and we also saw in last picture there's a CV SAM and there is a PLS SAM, partial least square SAM. Now, when we are using PLS software, partial least square software, they use variance-based SAM. PLSM or variance-based SAM. Variance-based SAM is also used in MATLAB. It is also used in PLS software. It can also be used in SPSS, And CBSAM can be used in SPSS or AMAS or macros is also CBSAM, or M plus software is also, and there are some other softwares as well. Lizard software is also there, which uses actually CBSAM. So there are two CBSAMs which are working right now at the parallel. People are using for the different purposes. Now, which one to use when you're using, SAM? Which one to use? You should use the PLS SAM or CBSAM. Now, the book suggests that when you're using PLS software, because it is a variance-based SAM, so when you're doing prediction or when you're doing causality or new phenomena, when you're exploring something new phenomena, you should use PLS-based SAM. If you're doing a confirmatory research, which is like theory has already been built and various studies are done, hypotheses are established, and you're confirming the phenomena, in that situation, you have to use CBSAM. So let's read. CBSAM is primarily used to confirm or reject theories because theories are established. So it's a set of systematic relationship between multiple variables that can be tested empirically, right? In contrast, PLSAM is primarily used to develop theories in exploratory research. It does this by focusing on explaining the variance-independent variable when examining the model. So when we are talking about PLSAM, we talk about variance. And variance, I guess, most of you guys know about standard deviation or variance within the data or within the constructs. So you are might familiar with this because it's a pure statistical term. It's the differences in the data, and there are some calculation techniques how to calculate variance, how to calculate covariance and standard deviation. I'm not going deep down in those concepts, but I'm just giving you overview how and what are the differences within these structural question modelings, different structures. Okay, now when we know that there are two SAMs, then of course the next thing you deal is with the variables. Now let me make it clear that variable is also called a construct. Now there are dependent variables and independent variables. Everybody knows about this, I hope so. So independent variables are the predictors, and dependent variable is variable which is to be predicted. For example, your dependent variables creativity and leadership. So how leadership of one person may impact creativity of another person. So leadership is an independent variable and creativity is a dependent variable. All right, okay. Now, what is the difference between the latent variable and observed variable? Wow, that's good. That's a good question, because a lot of people confuse with this thing. What is a latent variable? Okay, so I have really noted one thing good. When you drive, you use a speedometer to measure the speed of your vehicle. All right. So we measure the speed of a vehicle using a speedometer, and the variance. The speed of a vehicle is measured in meters, like how many meters per hour, something, kilometer per hour a vehicle is running. Like maybe mostly on average, a vehicle runs with 70 kilometers per hour, or 80 kilometers per hour. When it runs with 120 kilometers per hour, it's quite fast. It's quite dangerous, So we try to reduce the speed in order to stay safe. Okay, so this is the speed of a vehicle, and this is the variable because it's changing. Therefore, we say it's variable because it's changing. It's not constant. And it is the observed variable because we already have data of this variable. We don't need other variables to measure this variable. For example, we use a heat gauge to measure the temperature of the engine because engine is becoming hot when it's working. So we need to use temperature like thermometer, and then fuel tank we use in gallons or something like that. And if you're sick, you use thermometer, and in fact, when we are studying we are given results like 80 marks, 90 marks, or CGPA. So we have certain standards, and that's what is a variable, and it's observed variable. For example, if somebody has got good GPA, so he's a smart guy. So CGPA is an observed variable itself first. Now, For example, if we want to measure latent variable, now now we learned the latent variable, observed variable. Now they are non-observed variables as well. For example, if we want to measure satisfaction level, how we can measure satisfaction level? We can measure GDP in terms of millions of dollars, but how to measure satisfaction level? That's quite amazing. Okay, so uh, satisfaction level can be now what scientists have done. They have made different questions, scales. They have developed scales. For example, for measuring satisfaction, are you satisfied from the service of a hotel? That's a good question. Are you satisfied from the services of the hotel? How are you satisfied about the services of the hotel? Or different questions, we can ask about the satisfaction. So, for example, now this is satisfaction. If you want to measure the creativity or leadership, how would you ask the question? Well, my leader is very supportive most of the time. So we are measuring leadership, and we have different questions. The construct is variable leadership, but we are measuring we're using a different question, different item. So here we say latent variables are variables that are not directly observed. They're not directly measured. Actually. They are the abstract concepts like satisfaction, leadership, creativity, motivation. These are all abstract concepts. They cannot be directly measured or observed, but are rather inferred from other variables that are observed. And we call them proxies. In research, we say then these are items, okay? We sometimes call them items or indicators or etc. So these are the things that we're using the latent variables. So now I hope that you're clear that there are two kinds of variables. One is observed variable and another is latent variable. In management science, most of the time we use latent variables because satisfaction cannot be measured, purchase intention cannot be measured, purchase behavior cannot be measured. So we need another proxies to measure these. We need items, we need questionnaires to measure these items, variables, latent variables. We cannot measure satisfaction, we cannot measure innovation, we cannot measure, maybe they have some, their system like secondary data, but in management science or human resource or marketing, we mostly use latent variables. And because we use other items to measure these variables. Now, when we are talking about variable, we have two kinds of independent and dependent variables. But again, within the independent and dependent, we have two categories, reflective and formative. I'm not giving more focus on it because, generally we deal with the reflective constructs. What reflective indicators are, the direction of the arrows is from construct to indicator. Reflective items are almost similar and reveal higher correlation among each other. For example, if we are measuring satisfaction level, we often ask the question, when you went to the hotel, and I will ask you, how likely you were satisfied from the services? Were you satisfied from the services? Uh, would you recommend this hotel to your friends? Were you happy after leaving the hotel, or something like those questions? So they are almost similar questions, and we call these are the reflective measures because they are the same. They have redundancy. They may show redundancy, and they have higher correlation among the items. So how they will show higher correlation, I will let you know later if we have a time, right? Okay. Now there are. I have taken some reflective measures. You may see it on the table. All right. For example, yeah. So there are some items. Item one include she suggests new ways to achieve environmental goals. So this is about creativity, green creativity. She proposes new green ideas to improve environmental performance. She promotes and champions new green ideas to others. She develops adequate plans for implementation of new green ideas. She would rethink green new ideas. She would find creative solutions to environment. So most of the time we are talking in these all 6 questions, we are talking about new ideas to save the environment. So that's a green creativity. And green creativity is a latent construct because it cannot be measured directly. So we have developed some questions. And when we develop some questions or proxies, we say it's a latent construct. These are our items are proxies, and they are reflective items because they show redundancy and measure same phenomena. That's why we call these are the reflective items. Okay, and then we have formative measures. Formative measures indicate directional arrows. And they are pointing from the indicator variables latent construct indicating the assumption that indicator variable cause the measurement of the construct. An important characteristic of formative indicators is that they're not interchangeable. They're not interchangeable, as is true with the reflective indicators. Means reflective indicators can be changed, they can be dropped, they can be changed. But in formative measures or formative construct, items cannot be changed because they measure a different phenomena of the satisfaction level. In the next picture, I'm going to show you, I will make you more clear about it. They may reveal low correlation and needs different treatment. Now let's go to the 10. Okay, so this picture will make us very clear between the differences between the construct, reflective versus formative. Now, what is reflective measurement model? For example, in the reflect, we say when we measure the satisfaction level, say I appreciate this hotel. So because I like it, I'm feeling satisfied, so I appreciate this hotel. I'm looking toward to staying in the hotel because I felt that this hotel is quite amazing. So I say I'm satisfied. I will go again in this hotel, right? And I will also recommend this hotel to people. You know, why? Because I feel satisfied. So they are almost showing the same phenomenon, reflection. They're reflecting that they're satisfied. For example, yeah, one more important thing that the arrows from this is the latent construct satisfaction. Y1 is a satisfaction, but you see the arrows are going out. Arrows are going out. And for example, formative measurement constructs, the arrows are going towards the construct. They're forming, items are forming the construct. Okay, that's why we call them the formative construct. This service is good. The service is good. The personnel is friendly. The rooms are clean. So now they are showing the satisfaction level that when somebody went into the hotel, he was happy with the service. The employees were very friendly and the rooms were very clean. Now these are three different things. Service is different thing. Employees friendly relationship is different thing. The rooms cleanliness is something different. But they all show the satisfaction, right? So therefore we call it formative construct. Okay. Let me open my software. Now, for example, let me show you. This is the PLS software. It's a window of the PLS. And you see that this variable is GTFL, Green Transformation Leadership. I am going renaming it Green TRANS, Transformational Leadership. Transformational LEADER leadership. Right. Okay. There we go. Green transformational leadership. You see that we measure green transformational leadership using 6 items. These are the 6 questions, and they have a scoring in it. So we see that the arrows are going out. So that's a reflective construct. But when we change the arrows, for example, switch between reflective or formative construct, alter plus Q, we can also deal with that, right? Okay, now arrows are going towards the construct and it becomes formative. But again, system does not decide whether the construct is reflective or it is formative. Who decides? Theory decides. Items decide. The person who's just doing research, he has to decide that what kind of this construct is. Is it reflective or formative? In fact, when you write your thesis or proposal or research paper, you have to write there that what are the kinds of constructs. You have to be very clear that what kind of constructs are. Are these reflective or formative? Because formative needs different treatment and reflective has a different treatment. But let me tell you that in SPSS and most of the software people use reflective constructs. Very few papers use formative. So you have to be careful when you're using formative construct because they have a different treatment. All right, let me go to like, okay, like, fine. All right, let's go to the PPTs back. Now we already have this model here. First of all, now there are different models, and when we're using writing papers, we have different models in our research. We have measurement model, we have structural model. Some people say measurement theory, some people say structural theory, but like they're mostly models because this is measurement model and that structural model. Okay, what is a structural model? And what is measurement model? These are the two different questions. So the measurement model is items through which we measure and we study their characteristics, their reliability, their validity, their collinearity, or something else like missing values or outliers. We say that these models are measurement models because we directly measure them. And then after measurement model, we go to structural model. So what is a measurement model? When you see these lines, okay, these boxes, rectangular boxes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We have 10 items in measurement model. Okay, now we have two kinds of variable: independent variable, dependent variable, exogenous variable or endogenous variable. Exogenous variables are independent variables, endogenous variables are dependent variables. Now, for example, exogenous, this is exogenous variable because most of the arrows, like, the arrow from this exogenous y1 variable goes to y3, and y2 variable doesn't have any arrow coming to us from another latent variable. So it's also exogenous variable. See, measurement models, exogenous latent variable. So these are two exogenous variables or independent variables. And then we have dependent variable. These two are dependent variables, but y3 is also mediator because these two variables have arrow towards y3 and then y3 towards y4. So maybe y3 is also an independent variable because it has impact on y4. But again, the researchers have shown this into the endogenous variables because it's an independent variable. It has impact on it. So it falls in endogenous category. And y4 is very endogenous. Now, one thing is like this is a structural model. And measurement model, we have 10 items, okay? So you see rectangular boxes, they are the part of the measurement model. And the arrows, these 6 arrows are going towards y13 and y2. We say these are formative constructs. The arrows point towards the constructs. So we say when the arrows point towards the construct, we say these are the formative constructs. But when we see y3, the arrows are going out. So these are the reflective constructs because arrows are going out. So the variable is reflecting through some other questions. Here the variables items are forming one construct, and here the variable is reflecting through different items, proxies, indicators. So we say x7, x8, x9, these are the different proxies which are used to measure, not measure, but which are reflecting the construct y3. But here x1, x2, x3 are measuring y1 phenomenon because they're forming one construct. Okay, going towards the next, right, okay. So we have here a structural model. Yeah, there are two models, right? Structural model and the measurement model. Measurement model comprises of items. Structural model comprises of constructs like independent and dependent constructs. Okay. Now where we are, now, okay, let me carry you with the practical application of these items because I don't want to go with the theoretical implications and how and what these things are now. Now, I wanted to move all of these. I want to let it go from the beginning that how things are. Now, for example, we have PLS software. This is the paid software, but the student version is available there. You can use it free. I have already opened it. Okay, this is the PLS software. This is the mono PLS software. Okay, so for example, let's we create a model. Okay, this is a new project. Create a new project, a research project. Okay, for example, if I create a file project, file PROJs project. Okay, file project. We created a trial project. All right. Where is trial project? Right, here we go. Now it says that import the data. Now data can be imported using the right click, import data. You just double click on it and the data will be imported. But you have to name it again, a trial project, PROJs. Okay, so now what you have to do, double click to import the data. We clicked on it. Now we already have data on the desktop and that's a trial data. I have built an Excel file. So you can practice using this file and analyze the data. I will try to share with you later on. Okay, open. Okay. So when we open the file, then we have a window which will show you how many items are there. For example, how many items are. We have 29 items, are different proxies we use for different things. Missing values are zero in every item. And the mean values are given there on the screen. And then we have median. We have median value of every construct. We have minimum value, so creativity and GTFL, GIC, Green Innovation Climate, minimum values, and we have maximum values, which scale we have used 1 to 5 or 1 to 7. If we have used 1, then minimum will come here. If I use 5 scale, then 5 will come here if you have 5 in your data. If you have 7 in your data, then 7 will come here. Everything will come here. For example, implied education, we have maximum 4, minimum 2. So this is appearing here. Now we have a standard deviation here. Standard deviation should be almost 1 or something. And then we have access cutoffs. Cutoffs and skewness shows a normality of your data in PLS, and mostly, of course. So whenever you want to describe the normality of the data, you should use skewness or cutoffs or some other methods. Okay, because we are very limited. We have limited time, so we are just focusing on it. Okay, now double click on this right side. Type trial project. Double click on it, and the window will open. Okay, what you have to do, yeah, this is the item side. This is the window, small window, which shows items. For example, we have green transformation leadership. Select 6 items of green transformation leadership, and then drag in the center. The item will be, the construct will be formed with these 6 items. Or there's another technique. Let me tell you all of the ways. Click on latent variable and click here. 1 variable, 2 variable, 3 variable, right? And then select. Now you're done. Okay, so we have created 3 variables. Now what you have to do, select all green transformation leadership. 6 items towards latent variable. All right, now we have made a construct, okay? What you have to do, right click, and then you have lots of options. Rename, add moderating variable, quadratic effect, switch between reflective formatted, high indicators, set indicators, or align indicators, align selected top, and export file, something, What you have to do is to rewrite the name. For example, green transformational, transformational leadership. Okay, so here we go. Green transformational leadership. And then now we have green innovation climate. Okay, GIC. We have 8 items for measuring green innovation climate. Okay, and you again have to rewrite, change its name. Green innovation, either the OVA innovation climate, innovation climate. Just a second, got it. Okay, so we have green innovation climate, and then we are going to drag green creativity items into its construct, towards its construct. Okay, drag it here. Then here we have green creativity. Rename green creativity. CREATIVIT. Creativity. Now, well, alignment is quite easy. There is some window here. You can change the colors and pictures. It's quite friendly software. You see that. What I can do is, you selected this one and then align the items below. And then, for example, you select this one and then you have to align this one to right, okay? You can move them very friendly, easy. You have a grid system here. You can align into the line and try to fit perfectly. Okay, so now we have, again, the grids. Now we have 3 variables with us, and that one is a leadership, another is a green creativity, and another is a green innovation climate. Okay, so these are all reflective variables because we don't involve the formative construct here. That's why we have a reflective variables here. These are the reflective variables. Okay. How to establish a measurement model. How to establish a measurement model. The question is, when you have 3 variables, how to establish a measurement model. Okay, Now, what you have to do, these are all the red, because these are all red because we haven't established the relationship. Now, what you have to do, green transformational leadership theoretically impacts green creativity. And green innovation climate also theoretically impacts green creativity. So when you connect all of these constructs, they, they become blue and ready to operate. Okay? So now the model is ready. We have green transformational leadership as an independent variable. We have green innovation climate as an independent variable, but we have green creativity as a dependent variable. What you have to do is to calculate, go to calculate and play algorithm. Play algorithm. You don't have to play with these things. The maximum iteration should be 3 and 7 stop criterion. Path should be selected. Start calculations. So yeah, it's gone like, okay. So when you are done with the, yeah, in seconds, it will run the analysis. Okay, so this diagram shows that green transformational leadership has 0.313 impact on green creativity. So the 3 units of 1 unit rise, I mean to say the green transformational leadership has 0.313 impact on green creativity. However, the impact of green innovation is 0.268, which is lower than green transformational leadership. So here the study suggests that the leaders have higher and substantial impact on the creativity of employees than the innovation climate. For example, it may suggest and support a theory that when you have a better climate, but your boss, which is like sometimes, crazy people, who are sometimes crazy people are very stupid and naughty or, abusive leadership, and they can destroy your motivation and confidence. So you better not to give them any idea when they are not good. So leadership has more significant impact. Green transformation leadership has substantial impact on green creativity, this model suggests. But the point is not that this what this model is showing, but the point is how to measure, establish the measurement model. Now, what are the things in measurement model to establish? I've taken some picture for the measurement model. Now, this is my paper in Journal of Cleaner Production. Constructs with items showing reliability, factor loading, and conversion value. Now, write down on the book when you're establishing the measurement model. You have to first establish reliability, consistency within the constructs. Reliability is the first important thing you have to establish, and then you have to establish validity. And validity again have two kinds: convergent validity and discriminant validity. Convergent validity, when all items load on the one variable, they're converging on one construct. And then discriminant validity means all constructs are different. These all items are different. They measure a different phenomenon. They are measuring what they're supposed to measure, but they are measuring what we are supposed to measure, but they're different from others. So we say that's a discriminant validity. They establish different discriminant validity. Now, in my paper, I gave, like, for example, green transformation leadership, green creativity. We don't have universal climate. We have green motivation and green access motivation. Okay, so we have established reliability through different techniques. For example, we have Cronbeck alpha, which is very famous and everybody uses it. Composite reliability, it is also very famous now. Scholars are saying that we should use composite reliability. And then we have average variance extracted. We have factor loading. Factor loading shows convergent validity. And cross loading shows discriminant validity. We have some other techniques to measure the discriminant validity. I will discuss these things. But from where to get this reliability? Because this is a measurement model, okay? For example, we have another measurement model established, and it is used like using CB-SAM, not PLS. So, for example, it shows A/CR. A is a Cronbeck alpha, CR is a composite reliability, factor loading, G value. So from where to have these values? Okay, let's go to the software bag. Now, when we are opening another window, it shows different things here: composite reliability and validity. Now see, green creativity has 0.94 at composite Cronbeck alpha. And then we have RHO, which is also measure of reliability, composite reliability, 0.958. Green innovation climate, it is 0.939. Now, what is the range of these values? Now, they appear to be green. That means they're fine. They're absolutely wonderful. But when they turn to be red, they are dangerous. They're not good. They're not meeting the criteria. So reliability should be between zero point 0.7 to 0.95. It should be that, okay? So you have to note down on your book that what is the criteria where the number should fall, and it should always fall between zero point 0.9, 0.7 to zero point 0.9. Okay, then composite reliability, and then average variance extracted. Now, how would you write with a pencil or pen in the book these things, these values? No, there's a simple formula. Excel format. Click on it. When you click on it, then you actually copy them. Okay, let's open the Excel. Let me go with the Excel. Okay, when you open the Excel, yeah, let's go, and then Control V. And these all values are here. Okay, so you got the value of Cronbach alpha, you got the value of composite liability for all the construct, you got the value of average variance extracted. Okay, here we are done with the reliability and somehow validity. Okay, because VIF, average variance extracted, and then there is, yeah, it is used for the validity, and then we have factor loading, and we generally say we say this, outer loading in the PLS software, and it is used for establishing convergent validity. All these items of green creativity, green innovation climate, and green transformation leadership should have higher than 0.7 factor loading. I hope you're going with me. My pace is quite slow, not too fast, not too slow, of course, so that I can cover most of this. Now, what do you have to do again? Copy Excel format. Okay, and you go open another page, an Excel sheet, and Control V, paste, and you got all these values. Okay, so now you see these all values are higher than 0.0, uh, 0.0, point 0.7. Okay, point to be noted. If the value for the factor loading is lower than zero point 0.4, then remove it. If the construct is reflective, if the construct is formative, then you have to be very careful. And the items should be more than 3. These, we have 6 items for this, 8 items for this, 6 items for this. These are the very big number of the items. So we don't need to remove these items because the factor loading values are very good. Outer loading values are very good. I'm interchangeably using factor loading and outer loading. All right. So in PLSM, we can say that this is a factor loading and item or outer loading. So you can pass it here and then draw the table in Word file and then present your measurement model like this one, for example. You can put the Cronbach alpha liability value, you can place a average values extracted value, you can place a factor loading value, and then you say, see, these constructs show satisfied values for the measurement model. For example, Cronbach alpha is above 0.7, composite liability is above 0.7. Average variance extracted, which is measured for validity, establishing validity, convergent validity, we say that this is above 0.5. It should be above 0.5. And then factor loading values are above 0.7 again. So we say that most of the measurement constructs or model, your measurement model shows satisfaction and reliability and convergent validities are established in our model, in our research. Okay, this is one of the ways. Now, when we have established reliability and factor loading, then we have another one more step for establishing discriminant validity. Now, what is the discriminant validity? That's quite important. Discriminant validity, by name, it means that the variables are different. They measure a different phenomenon. We have to establish that satisfaction is different, our creativity is different from motivation. Creativity is different from innovation climate. Leadership is different from innovation climate. Leadership is different from creativity. If we cannot establish discriminant validity, that means that system is thinking that all items are same and they are all the same. So we can place them as a one variable, but theoretically they are not the one variable. So we have to establish distinct validity. And of course, you need the data, which should be clean and clear. And for that, your items and questions of the construct should be clear, totally understandable. Employees or people, they misunderstand your items. They may give same scores to every question, and when the same score is given, definitely you're going to be in the trouble, right? Now, establishing for discriminant validity, we have another tab, which is here, discriminant validity. Okay, let's go to the discriminant validity. Now, there are three different techniques to measure discriminant validity: Forner, Larker, criterion, cross-loading, and HTMT. I'm taking it straight to HTMT approach because it is mostly acceptable and widely acknowledged. Widely acknowledged. One of my paper, I wrote that like I established validity using Cornell Larker criterion or cross-loading. Said no, establish through HTML. So it's better not to take risk and establish your discriminant validity using HTML hetero-trait mono-trait ratio. This is the criteria. Now see that these old graphs for HTML are green. That means that discriminant validity is established. However, let me tell you that these graph values, this is 0.35. They should be lower than zero point 0.8, but we have 0.35, which is far lower than zero point 0.8 or 0.85. So our discriminant validity is also established in our model of leadership, innovation, and climate. Leadership, innovation, climate, and creativity. For example, how to take this graph chart, click on it, OK, and then you open an MS file, for example, Word file, open it, and paste it. Now here we are done. You got the graph here, you got the tables here, so you can then organize into your paper and place all those things in your paper. You can write that paper. Now we have okay. So let's go to the table that we got the value for the this Cronbeck alpha and reliability. We have AV factor loading, AV and factor loading. So we established the conversion validity, and then okay. Then we have also established values, discriminant validity through using this graph. Okay. Then once we are done with the measurement model, which is a measuring model, then we have to use establish structural model. Oh, sorry, TOURIS. There is a mistake. Let me rectify it. Okay, so how to establish that how one variable is affecting another variable. I have taken one picture from Tourism Management Journal, which this is paper from picture from Tourism Management Journal. We said that the paper has revealed that green transformational leadership has impact 0.365, significant at 0.001, and then green organizational, what is that? Well, there's some mistake. Green organizational commitment something. It has impact on green creativity 0.239 and significant at 0.001. Okay, now how we see that, where is this actually? Okay, let me go back to the draw diagram. We see here that transnational leadership has 0.313, impact on green creativity, and green innovation climate have 0.268 impact on green creativity. So this is the diagram, and this is the structural model. This inner part is a structural model. This outer part, here we see factor loading. This outer part is measurement model. And now, okay, when we are writing research papers, we also require to establish model fitness, that whether your model is fit through the data or not. There are different tools and different softwares to establish model fitness. TLSM doesn't have CLI, TLI, GFI, or some other standards, SRMS, but we have R square value. R square value is how variance and dependent variable being explained by independent variable. I haven't written these things in the PPTs because I hope so that most of you researchers and scholars know this thing. So what is the R square value? I told you that variance explained by different independent variables or exogenous construct, and independent variable or endogenous construct. And R square value of our model is 0.216. So the manufacturer or the designers of this software have told us that the R square value should be, the theoretical support also suggests, or some good papers have suggested that it should be above 0.15 or 2 something, and then it's good, it's enough. But it again depends upon studies that you're conducting. And then again, we have to establish F square value, 0.085, 0.115. F square value is effect sign. Now, these are a little bit deep things because my purpose is to just, let you understand that how to run the software and how to take the information or, data and reliability and measurement and structural model values and then put into your paper so that you're familiar with the SAM and how to work with the SAM. That's what I'm trying to establish here, okay? Our F squared values are not good because they're a little bit rare, but that should be above 0. That's the important thing. They should be above 0.25. But if it is like 0.1 or something above them, then they are medium better. But they are not worse, but they are okay. Okay. And then you have the collinearity statistics option in the software, VIF, which is quite good. You see that most of the values are either black or green, but not red. So 3 values are red, which seems to be like the values for these items is higher than 0.5. They should be below 0.5, but that's fine. They're not much higher than 5, so it's okay. And you can also see independent inner VIF values. Model fitness is also there, but you don't need to use it because researchers and the authors of the book suggest of the PLSM that you don't need to use the model square. But if somebody asks you, then you have to report these values, okay? Otherwise, people generally don't ask, okay? Now let's go to the structural model, okay? Now, because this paper have used macros, SKSS software, so they have established, okay, whenever you are establishing the structural model, you have to anyhow, and it's very important to tell that the values, the structural values, the path values means one variable has effect on B variable, and this is the path value, okay? The relationship between two variables is the path value. So this value should be significant. Now, how to check that these values are significant? Where are the tables? For example, now, many of the scholars, might that we often establish these values through p-values or significance values or probability values, but we don't have these values here. For this, we have another application in Smart PLS, and we have to run bootstrapping. Now, what is bootstrapping? This is something very deep, so I'm not going into it because it's quite complex to understand at this stage of the time. So I'm simply trying to say that you just have to run this option and then check the p-values of all the path values, the path models, path relationships. Okay, run bootstrapping, but at the 5,000 subsamples. This is the most suggested 5,000 subsample. You may also see here that they have suggested that use 5,000 subsamples for analyzing the p-values. Bootstrapping, bootstrapping, and then start calculations. It may take a little while to run the bootstrapping. My system is quite fast, and you should have some fast system so that you can understand really that what is bootstrapping and how to take the significance values. Okay, so we say that green innovation climate has impact on green creativity. That is 0.268, but that value is significant at 0.0001, or lower than that. It is even lower than that. So when it is green, it means it is significant. And we also see another relationship, green transformational leadership has impact on green creativity, and that value is 0.313. So it is also significant at 0.000. But if this value is higher than 0.05 or 0.1, we may say that the value is insignificant and there is no relationship, there is no effect of green innovation climate on green creativity when value is 0.1 or greater than 0.1. So you need to know and note it down on the paper that path value, p value, should always be lower than 0.05 at least to show in the papers that your path relationship is significant, because combination of the path values make a structural model. So your path value for all relationships should be lower than 0.05. You got my point? So this is quite important. Okay. Right. So we established the path values, and what you can do is to Excel or copy it and then open another tab and pass it here, and then you got the values, and you can make another table in your paper or something like that. Now, what is something? Okay, I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna take you, travel you through the papers because it's a paper of general cleaner production. You see here, it's published paper. You don't have to worry about it. It's the Mendeley software I read generally on Mendeley software. Okay, we can learn different softwares when we are used to with the papers. Okay, so this is structural model results. This is the last stage when you see that whether your hypotheses are significant or not. And what are some things you have to define in your path model? Number one, you checked your leadership effect on within creativity. The path value was 0.579, which is quite high. And p-value should be above, I told you that 0.05, or at least it should be above 0.1. Here, in that case, it is 0.064, but it is significant at 0.1 level. That means 10% probability. Okay. T-value should be higher than 1.95 or 97, but it is 9.501, which is quite high. So you also have to provide T-value. So from where to have T-values? Now you see, when you are running the bootstrapping, because this is a bootstrapping tab, see here T-values. So you have to also provide T-values so that the reviewer or the one who is evaluating your thesis or your paper should be satisfied that your t-value is also significant, it is higher. If your t-value is higher and p-value is lower, t-value is lower and p-value is higher, there's a problem with your figures. So you have to be sure that both values, p-value should be lower than 0.05 and t-value should be higher than 1.95. Remember, note it down. This is very important. Don't, yeah, okay. Yeah, we are going to the paper. Okay. Now, when we put the path values, then we have to put the p values and then t value and then r square values. I already told you that we have r square value over in PLS algorithm. R square value is 0.216 because our model is just one. So we have checked this like path value, r square value is 0.2, 0.16 something. And then f square values. I already told you that we have f square values here. 0.085, 0.115. Okay, so I told you, right, okay. Now this is the model you draw generally through diagrams. Okay, so when you are drawing using the SAM, now what is the benefit of the SAM? You know what? Let me close all the windows first. The good thing with the SAM is, for example, the good thing for the SAM is that you just have to use one application and most of the values, like all of the things, like factor loading, path value structure model, composite liability validity, discriminant validity, collinearity, model fit, everything comes with a single click. Otherwise, in normal models, what you have to do, you have to go and you have to calculate everything individually. You got my point? So in SPSS, you have to calculate reliability separately. You have to do factor loading through factor dimension reduction technique. You have to run multivariate analysis using linear regression or hierarchical regression. Then if there's a group difference, then you have to use t-test and different other modalities. But in PLS, what you have to do is to run everything with a simple single click, and then you have got most of the values. Model fitness, reliability, validity, and that is also similar in the MOS. But that one is a little bit not user friendly, so you have to be very practicing and very curious or very preserving, you have to learn that software because it's quite difficult to learn. So this is quite easy software in comparison with other softwares. And if you are using M plus, that one is quite hard. So you have to be very, friendly, practicing. Like you have to be very curious in playing the game and like enjoy that. Then maybe after a couple of months, 1 month or 20 days or 30 days, the more you practice, the more you learn. So then you're going to learn it. The application and the use of that software. But that one software, M plus, is a very advanced and very nice to learn. But I'm also right now learning that software as well. So you need a time to learn that software. But this one is quite easy. I would suggest you that buy this software. There are some different sources from which you can have the software free from life or something. You can contact me for that one. Okay, so back to the PowerPoint. For example, in my model, I created 3 models. How to create 3 models? First of all, we take the relationship between green transnational leadership and green theory, model 1. Okay, so for that, what I do, create, duplicate, yes. Okay, then we have created a copy of the trial version and then rename model, for example. Let me draw it outside, model, trial project 2. Okay, so when you say, okay, so we have trial project 1 and trial project 2. You can create 2 models, 3 models, 4 models, that depends upon you, and based on the same data. Okay, now what you have to do, this is a model 1. Okay, for example, I showed you my model 1. Yeah, here, this is model 1. Okay, this is model 1, the first line. And then in the second model, we have included mediation. Now, what is a mediation? For example, when you say that leadership has impact on green creativity, but that is not always the case. Leadership, leadership in organizations has developed a climate, a culture, and then that culture helps to be creative. Employees become more creative when they have a climate. So what you have to do in PLS, Smart PLS, that's quite easy in Smart PLS. What you have to do, draw that model line. Okay, let's go to the project 2. Bring that variable into the model, rename it Green Innovation Climate. Okay, and then we have to design it, align it, its items. Okay, now what you have to do, draw from here to here. Okay, now see how it becomes certain, because green transformation leadership develops green innovation climate, and then green innovation climate develops has impact or leaves impact on green creativity of employees. Now we have to do the same, play algorithm, start calculation. Okay, we are done with this. And we see that green transformation leadership has also impact on green innovation climate, because leaders develop innovation climate. And then innovation climate has also impact on green creativity. See, 0.267. Now, how much is an indirect effect? Now, this is the direct effect, but how much is the impact of green transformation leadership? Because first, now there is a mediation. Mediation means between the 2 variables, there's a third variable which is also affecting. So there is always a love between mother and son. But when son gives some money or son shows love or affection with mother, then that love multiplies. So when leadership, of course, have impact on creativity of employees, but when they develop a climate, then that effect of creativity becomes higher. So the leadership have impact on creativity through climate, right? So I hope you got my point, and you can further explore on the mediations, and there are different mediations. There are parallel mediation, there are sequential mediation, there are different mediation kinds of mediations. Okay, our topic is not mediation, so I'm just trying to give you an example that you can also draw complex models in PLSM using mediations and moderations. Okay, so let me take you towards the mediation. Okay. Now what we have indirect effect, because for mediation you have to report indirect effect, total effects and mediation effect. Okay. So see the mediation effect of green transformation leadership, that is the indirect effect. Okay, let me show you through this way. Mediation effect, a specific indirect leadership effect. Transformation leadership impact on green creativity through green innovation climate is 0.074. 0.074. Now, the question is it significant or not? That's an important question. Now, again, for checking the significance of this, you have to run bootstrapping, 5,000 subsample. We already have that here. It may take a little while. Okay, now we are going again specific indirect effects, and we see here that green transformation leadership through green innovation climate has impact on green creativity is 0.074, but it is significant at 0.01, 0.001. So the mediation is also significant. Now, how to confirm that it is a partial mediation, it is a total mediation, or it is there's no mediation. Now, this is another debate. But I just taught you through the diagram that now these values are changed when we run the bootstrapping, because these are the T values now. Before we had a path values. Again, you have to run PLS algorithm here in order to have path values. Okay, trial project 2. So you see that they have different impact, like transformational leadership, innovation climate, and then creativity, and mediation is also significant. That you see here in these PPTs that we have direct effect and indirect effect. You also have to report indirect effects so that you can show them that indirect effect is also significant, and indirect effect is actually the mediation. Here, indirect effect is 0.0013, and the significant of 0.000. T value is 3.657. So this is how we have learned measurement model. Start from the measurement model to structural model, and then we have the software and everything here. I would request Ishad, do you have any questions if on YouTube? Are you there, Ishad? Okay, I think perhaps, yeah.
Hello. Yes, yes.
Hello. Yes.
Yeah, you have some couple of questions. I'll just put it in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
So here we have one question from Yasser.
Mm-hmm.
Satisfaction cannot be measured directly, but there are a lot of studies measuring satisfaction level directly. Please comment.
Okay, so that's a good question. Thank you, Yasser, for asking this question. That satisfaction can be measured directly. I don't know which study you're referring, but I'm agreed with you that for measuring satisfaction, for example, if you ask that, how satisfied are you? If, for example, if I ask you the question, how satisfied are you from today's presentation or this live webinar, this sort of session, how would you measure this? Like, okay, there are different approaches to measure the satisfaction level. First, I can ask you directly, how satisfied are you? Yes, you may say, well, I'm 70% satisfied. I'm 80% satisfied. Okay, you can give your ratings, but it doesn't have any score directly. And then you can say, okay, the voice quality was good. I'm satisfied. All right, I'm satisfied. I will refer to my friends and something like so. That's the reflective approach. But when you say that the voice quality was not good, however, the content was quite clear, and I really learned the software, how to play the software, how to use, how to analyze SEN. So you say that there are different categories to measure, different questions to measure the satisfaction level, and that is the formative constraint. So satisfaction actually is the non-observed variable, but it can be measured through different questions, and these questions become the question items, or we may say questions, and then they measure the satisfaction. So in some, I can say that satisfaction is an abstract term, and if you find if you have some other criteria, please let me know. Maybe in some other industry they have different ways to measure satisfaction. but it depends upon which variable and which industry you are using the satisfaction level. Thank you. Is there another question?
Sir, we have one more question. How to deal with missing values?
Okay. Now, missing values have a different treatment. If you have used previously SAM or SPSS software, you know, number one, when you're preparing your Excel sheet, you have to check that the values are not missing, because once the values are missing, maybe PLS will not allow you to run the algorithm. So you have to check. Now, one approach, most of the scholars suggest that we have to take mean value of, because when we are measuring satisfaction and one person didn't reply us for one question, what we take mean value of the previous 4 questions and put it on the fifth item, so that we can measure the we can replace the mean value with the missing value. Okay, so sometimes the mean value is replaced with the missing value. Some people delete that observation because the value is missing, so it may distort the data. Some people run software with a missing value. So there are different techniques, but these two, three techniques are most common. And my suggestion would be to use mean value, because mean value would not distort the data. It would remain same. And okay, that is the answer from me. Thank you.
So we have one more question. What is the t value? Can you explain once again?
Yeah. Now, in order to establish the significance of path relationships, we have number one, p-value. And p-value should always be below 0.05. I repeatedly told you that it should be lower than 0.05. P-value is a probability value. And now t-value is also a measure of significance value. If you are not using p-value, then you can use t-value. But t-value should be higher than 1.95. Remember that. It should be higher than 1.95. So these are the two measures we normally use in our models. But there's another approach, and that is the confidence interval approach. And we see the upper confidence and lower confidence limit. When there is no zero between the upper and lower confidence limit, we say that that relationship is significant. If the zero value falls between upper and lower confidence level values, normally we use in SPSS macros, we say that value is not significant because there is a zero between upper and lower confidence level. So I'm not going there in the confidence level, but there are different approaches to check that whether your relationships are significant or not. The most prominent value approach is to use p-value. And then I would suggest you that also bring or put your t-value, because and it should be higher than 1.95, because it raises the confidence of reviewer that yes, we got two values, p-value and t-value, and they are both fine, good. So that shows the robustness of the significance of the relationship between the constructs. That's
Mr.
the answer.
Mr. Tahsin, we have one question. What will be the
Mm-hmm.
ideally R square value? If it is less, how
Mm-hmm.
to handle it?
Sorry, could you repeat the question,
Yes,
Shadir?
how to handle the R square value if the R square value is less?
Yeah, that's a pretty good question. Now, this is very common in the research phenomenon that R square value is not much higher. Now, how to raise the R square value? Well, that's the pretty good question of the practice, actually, now, if you're good really at states, let me tell you that R square value is the regression line. It shows the regression. I mean, R square value is a variance explained by independent variables into dependent variables. So how much independent variable is explaining the dependent variable? So actually, it is a difference between the actual score and the obtained score. If there is a higher error, more error in the data, then there's a possibility that the R square value would be low. And another approach is that, for example, if you have a low item, For example, you know, if you have item which has lower score like 0.4, 0.3 something, remove that item because that is creating some problem. Second, you may increase the sample. With the sample, R square value can be higher. Second. Third, if there are many variables, for example, if I remove this value, now R square is 0.211. For example, if I remove this variable and let me check the R square value, how is that? Okay, R square value is 0.151. So R square value decreased. So when you increase the variables, now I'm increasing one more variable. Okay. Okay, here we go.
So we have one more question. Uh,
Yeah. Okay.
Explain the direct and indirect effect in structural model results.
Okay, that's the good question. Let me go towards Green Innovation Climate, GRC, and construct the model. Yeah, there we go. Now, direct and indirect effect. So before, let me go to the PPTs here. When we are not putting mediation, then we are checking direct effect. So the direct effect of green transformational leadership on green creativity. For example, we have green transformational leadership, GTRFL, on green creativity. So this is 0.579. So it is a total effect. But we also consider that green innovation climate is not only variable which is affecting creativity. We may have green innovation climate there. We may have autonomy or something else. So when I put the mediation model like green innovation climate and I check that the indirect effect is also there, 0.113. So we see that when there was no mediation, the direct effect was 0.579. But when we put mediation, the direct impact became lower. It is lower than the previous. So it is reduced 0.465. So where is 0.113? Where is 1.113 effect? So we say that it was because of the green innovation climate. So there is another variable between transformational leadership and creativity, that is the green innovation climate, which is the impact on green creativity through transformational leadership. So we say that this is a direct effect, and this is a green transformational leadership has a direct effect, and then this is the indirect effect of transformational leadership on green creativity through green innovation climate. So you need to be very clear that direct effect of leadership on creativity, that is independent on dependent. But when you put mediator, then it has an indirect effect through the mediator. That is called the indirect effect. Yeah.
Tahsin, we have one more question here. Which one is the best to measure satisfaction, formative or reflective in financial product perspective?
Yeah, that's a good question actually, and quite complicated that when you're dealing with the financial models, which one is good? I think normally the PLSM and SPSS or MOS or M+, they are used for the survey-based studies. However, they are also used, for secondary data and formative or reflective. Actually, you don't have to decide in financial, is it financial history or something else? You don't have to decide that is it a formative or reflective. You have to check your questions and you have to check your theory. Software will not decide that is it formative or reflective. You have to see your psychometric properties of the questions and you have to see your theory, that what the theory is saying. There are a lot of constructs which have sub-constructs and then have items. So they are the multi-hierarchical models. Hierarchical models are multi-order models, second-order construct, three-order construct, first order. This is the first-order construct, right? So we have second-order construct. I'm trying to say you that for reflective and formative constructs, you have to see and learn the theory, that what the theory is. For example, if this is a innovation climate and it is a one-order construct and it has different items, for example, it has different items, they measure different phenomena, then this is a formative construct. Because your theory is suggesting that innovation climate is made of participative decision making, innovative climate is made of confidence building, innovation climate is mad of, psychological empowerment, something like that. So these are the three different constructs, which phenomena which are measuring the green innovation climate. I'm just giving you examples. These are not accurate, okay? So don't follow this. But I'm just trying to convey you that it depends upon the theory, that how the theory is helping you with these things. Yeah.
Yes. So we have one more question, Tahsin. Which one is the best method to measure satisfaction of academics in their job?
Well, which one is the best method to measure satisfaction in academic jobs?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Yeah. So for me, I think for that you have to look into the academic research papers, what they measure actually. For example, when I was the very young scholar, I was quite stumbling and working hard with analysis. What I did, I measured creativity using the educational creativity model. So now the reviewer asked me the question that why you took creativity model from the educational institutions, because you're going to learn creativity into organizational phenomena. So organizational companies are working, profitable companies are different from educational institutions. So you have to be very careful when you're selecting the questionnaire or taking the construct. Is it from the organizations? Because you're talking about organizations. When you're talking about education institutions, they have different settings, they have different scales. For example, when we are talking about creativity, maybe in environmental context, it is green creativity. So it has a different phenomena. It has different questions and psychometric properties. So you have to be very careful when choosing the constructs, that from where you are choosing the construct, because all the things you did, and at the end you found that your construct, your items or questions were taken from the wrong phenomena, from the wrong setting. So if you're doing education study, you have to choose educational construct. If you are doing organizational study, you have to take organizational construct, or you can modify the construct. But that depends upon your expertise, how strong and sound in academic literature you are.
Is there any questions from the participant? All else will wind up.
Yeah.
Okay. Uh, let's wind up. I express my sincere gratitude
Mhm.
to Professor Tahsin for accepting our proposal, sharing in-depth experiences and perspectives on the International FDP on emerging innovative trends in the pedagogy of quality research paper writing and publishing in top-notch journals, tips and techniques. I request all the participants to stay connected with us. We have Professor Dr. M. Dilip Kumar, who will share her experience on digital tools for thesis writing, referencing in software for academic research from Africa Business School from the Kingdom of Morocco. So kindly stay tuned tomorrow at 5 p.m. in the evening. Thank you for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you
Tasin,
for,
for having
thank you for
joining with us.
joining us. Thank you. Should we stop it now here?
Okay, Tasin. Yes.